This might be one of the most underrated economy class upgrades in the sky. Today I'm flying on Malaysia Airlines brand new A330neo in economy class. My 8-hour flight takes me from Melbourne, Australia to their hub in Kuala Lumpur. With new seats, a huge screen and great comfort, this might just redefine my choice of airline when flying to Asia. Our trip kicks off at Melbourne International Airport, where Malaysia Airlines offers 3 daily services to Kuala Lumpur, all on the Airbus A330neo. Melbourne was the first city to receive the A330neo in Emirates network. And if you're wondering, NEO literally stands for New Engine Option. My previous experiences with MH have been on the A330-300, which were rather underwhelming, so I was looking forward to this aircraft upgrade. Malaysia Airlines uses self-check-in kiosks at Melbourne Airport, and thanks to my One World status, which provides priority bag drop, the entire process was quick and efficient. In economy class, the standard baggage allowance is fare-based and starts at 20 kg. A small flight delay meant that I had some time to swing by the Qantas first class lounge for a quick lunch and some pavlova for dessert. It seemed like a busy afternoon at Melbourne Airport with several wide bodies lined up at the gates. But to catch a glimpse of our aircraft for the day, I had to head to my gate, where we were almost ready to board.
Hello, how are you? Thanks very much. Enjoy your flight.
Thank you. At the time of recording this, Malaysia Airlines operates 8 A330neos with a further 32 on order. These aircraft are configured in 2 classes, 28 seats in business and 269 economy. And the best part about the A330? The 242 seating layout, ideal for couples but also anyone trying to avoid that dreaded middle seat. Upon boarding, I was immediately hit with that unmistakable new plane smell and a clean modern aesthetic. This aircraft had been delivered just a month before my flight, and it definitely felt like it. The first thing that strikes you about the seat is the screen. It's absolutely massive, but I'll come back to it later. The legroom is genuinely fantastic. I'm not particularly tall, but for comparison, this is a big step up over the old A330s. Now interestingly, the seat pitch is still the same as before, so maybe the seats themselves are thinner, I'm not entirely sure. The seat had adjustable and foldable headrests and came with a pillow, blanket and headphones in terms of amenities. Now if you're flying on this aircraft, a quick word of caution. Avoid seats 14A and 14K unless you really don't want your window seat to have a window. Annoyingly, Malaysia Airlines doesn't indicate this during seat selection, so it can be an unpleasant surprise. About 30 minutes behind schedule, we push back from our gate. Malaysia Airlines' catchy safety video kicked in as we rolled toward runway 16, ready to begin our journey to Kuala Lumpur. The departure gave us a clear view of Melbourne's skyline in the distance. Before we turn west to cruise over the endless expanse of the Australian outback. Today's flight time, just over 8 hours. So back to that entertainment screen. I still can't get over how big it is. At 13.3 inches, it's almost the size of a modern laptop, and the resolution is as crisp as it gets. The screen is also angle adjustable, and you get both USB-C and USB-A ports for charging, plus Bluetooth connective headphones, a very welcome feature. But the best part is just how impressive this interface is. Scrolling through the menus is so satisfying. The content selection is solid too, with a good mix of blockbuster movies and popular TV shows. And it's not just a few token episodes either. There are full seasons available for many titles. Free unlimited Wi-Fi is offered, which is a great inclusion, but I really wish in-flight calling was disabled. A few passengers, including my seat neighbor, had their phones ringing mid-flight and even took calls on speaker. Let's just say it wasn't the most peaceful experience. About 90 minutes into the flight, the first meal service began. There were two options available, and I initially chose the pasta, which looked like this, at least for a few seconds, before I completely lost control and spilled it all over my pants.
Oh no!
Not one of my finest moments. The crew were incredibly kind and quickly offered me a replacement. While they sorted that out, I took a look at the rest of the tray, which was quite full and even came with some semi-premium cutlery, a nice touch for economy class. Since they had run out of pasta, I ended up with the chicken curry instead. It was hot, flavorful, and far more spill resistant. I mean, thank goodness I didn't drop this on my pants. With the meal service out of the way, I headed straight to the lavatory for a much needed cleanup. The space itself was basic but clean, and I really appreciated the foot pedal for hygiene. According to Aerolopa, the real lavatory on this aircraft may actually have a window, but I didn't have a chance to check that out on this flight. We were asked to lower our window shades, and the cabin was kept dim for the remainder of the flight. The seats, which were reasonably comfortable, actually allowed me to get some decent rest during the middle portion of this journey. About 2.5 hours before landing, a second meal service was offered. This time, a light snack in the form of a ciabatta sandwich. Nothing revolutionary, in fact it was pretty standard for a flight of this length. The rest of the flight was uneventful, apart from the fact that you lose Wi-Fi connectivity about 2 hours before landing in Kuala Lumpur. The sun started to set as we began our descent into Kuala Lumpur International, and the city lights slowly emerged below. So it was time to wrap up this flight. Malaysia Airlines A330neo is a huge step up over their previous product. The seats are about as spacious as you can get in economy class these days, and the entertainment system, especially that screen, is genuinely impressive. Looking back at my past flights with Malaysia Airlines, most of the drawbacks came down to the hard product. This upgrade is significant, and enough for me to consider MH as a strong competitor to Singapore Airlines when flying to Southeast Asia. But that's just my take. Let me know what you think in the comments.